Welcome back to FreightWaves Now. So right now we're going to be joined by special guest Blythe Brumleve, host of Cyberly. Blythe, how are you?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm doing great. It's Wednesday. We're a couple days away from the weekend. Beautiful weather here in Florida. Things are awesome.
Awesome. Well, love to hear that. So I know you big social media marketing, things like that, but also kind of this, we've seen this transition, right, of people on social media making a transition from sales into consulting. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing and how that transition works?
As far as relative to, I guess, regular people from social media building a brand and then transitioning into a consultancy?
Yeah, just how that works, that social media shift, like the shift from sales into basically selling themselves as a consultancy.
Yeah, it's really about, so for a lot of my background, I really got my start on social media. And I really believe in the platform as it serving as a digital handshake for a lot of different folks who are networking all over the country. So from my lens, I've always used social media as a digital landscape or as a place to, sort of complain about my favorite sports teams as one or the other, depending on the season. But making that transition and building up your audience is really the perfect way to learn how the algorithm works, to make that transition into offering a service or a product, but really focusing on building value first. And I think that that's what a lot of folks will miss when they start building online is creating that initial value. They think almost that they're owed something, that, they're owed viewership, they're owed listeners, they're owed followers, and you're really not owed any of that. And you really have to present value first to your audience in order to demand that next step of, or not really demand, but request that next step of making somebody follow you or having somebody subscribe to your newsletter, and then eventually developing that level of trust where it goes from like that digital handshake that I was talking about into a more solidified relationship. And so we're seeing that especially a lot across the freight industry, especially since COVID hit. That's where a lot of folks, they couldn't really rely on going to meet folks in person or going to a lot of the trade shows and events because they were all canceled. And so using social media, they were able to continue those digital relationships and then evolve those into, a business relationship. That's how it's happened, a few times for me. I know it's happened for other freight creators in the space. So it's really exciting to watch, especially because it's such a newer thing, even though it's been established in other industries.
One of the things that you mentioned just now really kind of piqued my interest, and that's going to be algorithms. I mean, when you look at different social media platforms, it seems like the algorithm is just going to be a little bit different depending on where you're posting or what you're looking to get into. And so how do you balance what the algorithm is, in a sense, rewarding, what it's really kind of incentivizing versus the type of creator you are? Because I've seen you, I follow you on a few different platforms, and you do a great job of curating to that algorithm, but also staying, authentic to yourself. Do you ever see that the algorithms really kind of start to push someone to just kind of post in a way that they really aren't, isn't authentic for them?
I think that you see it a lot with LinkedIn, and LinkedIn in particular, whereas comparable to other platforms where they all have their different algorithm rankings, and how essentially an algorithm works is that they will take your post and they will show it to a small percentage of your audience, and they will see the reaction or the non-reaction from that post. And if it gets a positive reaction, then the algorithm will serve it to more and more people. And if more and more people have a positive interaction with that post, then that's how, sort of the recipe for a post to go viral. Now, it is very, very difficult to go viral, but on a platform like LinkedIn, or really, I would say TikTok as well, it is easier than other platforms in order to tailor the algorithm for you. And so what I mean by that is, watching a post and seeing a post that you're just not interested in, or it makes you react emotionally, there are tools that you can say, you can click on there's usually a little 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner of any post, and you can click not interested in, or hide this post, or see fewer posts like this. You can tailor the algorithm to be a more enjoyable experience. Because I think for a lot of these social media networks, they found out that if they want their audience to enjoy their experience and to spend more time, then they can serve them more ads. And so you need to be able to give folks more control over their overall experience. And so knowing from or keeping that lens in mind, you can also retrain some of these different algorithms in order to show you the content that you want to see and that inspires you. And then you can also choose to manually do the work by not just, selecting the three little dots in the upper right hand corner, but commenting on more posts that you want to see. So if you see a post that you really like, commenting on it, liking it, engaging, sharing it, saving it, all of these are signals to the algorithm on any social media platform that you want to see more posts like this, and the algorithm will reward you accordingly. If you find yourself getting, hit with a lot of different negative news, I think a lot of folks out there, they just should be reminded that you do not have to participate in those kinds of discussions. You can hide those people, you can unfollow them, you can mute them, and you don't have to see those kind of posts anymore. You're in control of your algorithm for the most part, but it still requires some machine learning, and it still requires some work on your end.
Yeah, I think you touched on a great point there, especially about LinkedIn, how it kind of, as you interact more, it kind of feeds you those posts that you want to see. And I know this from personal experience. Like when I start to see people that, hey, I haven't met them in person, but I mean, Blythe, you're a perfect example. Your stuff people started liking it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So then it's like, well, now I'll make a connection, and I'll see it more, or follow it, and things like that. I mean, you're just seeing it more and more often, and I guess that's a great way to build a brand.
Yeah, it absolutely is, because then from thinking about it from the lens of building that brand, you want to think about, 3 to 4 topics that you want to be known for, your content buckets is what I like to call them. So thinking about it from the lens of 3 to 4 content buckets that you want to be known for, and then having conversations with your customers and your prospects, then you can sort of create this Venn diagram of the content you want to be known for, and then the content that your customers and prospects care about. So then that way you're posting a lot of I don't want to say a lot of the same things, but you're posting within those content buckets, and it helps to keep you from being scatterbrained. It helps you to go a mile deep instead of a mile wide on certain topics, and really hone in on problems that your customers are already experiencing, or they don't know that they will experience in the future. And so that it evolves that trust level aspect and moves that business, or moves that relationship from a social media lens into a business lens. And that's ultimately, I mean, if you're posting to social media, a business lens is probably what you're looking through for, I would say, the majority of content marketers out there, or folks who are in business. You want attention on your brand, you want attention on your business. So how do you sort of separate the two between your online persona and then, maybe having, a separate account, a Finsta or a fake account where you can be your quote unquote true self? There's all these different variations and levels to social media. Not saying that I'm out here with a fake Instagram or anything like that, but I do know of folks who do that. I myself have, a personal TikTok account, and then I have a business TikTok account, because I want that freedom to create whatever I want on the personal account, but then the business account is really serving up the target audience that I'm trying to go after. I'm still on my authentic self on each one, but it's just a little bit more of a targeted approach on one platform versus another. And I think a lot of folks could find, some value in that and honing in on their own social media strategy, because really you should be focusing on just building one platform at a time. And then if you find that to be sort of, just a little, I don't want to say smothering, but a little just suffocating, where you want to create these other things and talk about these other things, that's where the personal account or the extra account comes into play. So you can evolve into having more accounts if you want to, because most people find, just 1 or 2 social media profiles is plenty. And I kind of lean towards that lens as well.
Well, I think that's a great tip right there, focusing on one platform at a time. If folks want to get more of your great insights, you host a show called Cyberly. When's the next time it's airing, and what do you have on tap potentially for the next show?
So tomorrow, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Cyberly right here on FreightWaves TV. And what we're talking about tomorrow is Elon Musk made a large purchase in Twitter. So we'll see how that evolves, or how the platform will evolve after that purchase. And then we're going to talk a little bit about where to get free images that don't suck online. Because for years in transportation, for a decade in transportation, I have seen the same images over and over again, with a photoshopped plane and a cargo ship and a European truck all photoshopped together, and they're terrible images. So I'm on a mission to show you guys where to get better images for all of your marketing and your website opportunities.
Blythe, I love it, and I am fully behind that movement of getting images that don't suck. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll be sure to check with you on Cyberly.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more FreightWaves Now.